Three. Hi, Gabe.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. So today's Friday, and we end our first reboot week, covering episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Okay, so I was thinking, Gabe, maybe before we start with the questions that were sent to us, we could just have a quick, a review on why we created Reboot.
All right. As soon as quarantine was set, we got a lot of inquiries from existing clients to come up with e-learning resources that they would be using and that they would be paying for. But we at SatisFIND figured that we wanted to have more impact and help more businesses and frontliners. So we decided that this whole program would be free for the 20 episodes that we're sending out. It's really a way that we can give back to the industry. Especially we're realizing that everything that's going around now in the quarantine, nothing's possible without the frontliners. So we want to, honor the frontliners and give them something that they can use while under quarantine, that they can improve the way they give their already good service. So this is our way of giving back.
And also how we recommend that the Reboot program is used in different organizations, especially if you're a business in service, is number one, we intended it to be a reason why you could keep on engaging with your teams at this time. Constant communication is even more important during times of crisis. We'd like to avoid your people spreading or even receiving fake news within the organization. So if they could receive accurate information, updates directly from the source, directly from the business leaders, that would really help build confidence, build trust, and rebuild relationships within the team. So we intended the Reboot program to be a resource for you. We know that upskilling and training is very valuable during this time. What we were, remember, Gabe, we've been planning to actually release all these training videos for a few more months, but because what we were thinking is we believe so much in micro-learning, in e-learning, right? Because in the service industry, if you run a chain of stores or restaurants, or even in banking, you cannot close a single store or even all stores at the same time, just to train everyone. So that concept of a shared learning experience is not currently being delivered in the service industry. But we are all on lockdown, and this is a perfect opportunity to actually be consistent with our messaging across the organization and get to train everyone, keep everyone to be on the same page, right? So it's really a time for growth, personally and professionally. So anyway, all these information can be found on our website and also on our Facebook page. We'd like to invite teams and organizations, even consultants working with their clients at this time. If you need this resource, it's for free, and we're giving it to you. It's our way to give back to the service industry where we are a part of for the past 15 years. Okay, so let's start with the first question that was given to us. What kind of training do we need during lockdown? Well, for us, for Gabe and I, when we design this, it's always 3 elements. First is the delivery, is very important. Content, and the engagement and feedback that happens after. So Gabe, maybe you can share more about the science behind the e-learning and the micro-learning concept.
All right. Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the different modes of training all have their advantages and disadvantages, but definitely during quarantine, we cannot gather a group of people together. The best way we can do for now is an e-learning program like the one we're doing for Reboot. But beyond the usual e-learning, which there's a lot of content out there, which really the participants will just watch and then not engage with the material. What we wanted to do with Reboot was that there was a way for the leaders and the frontliners to engage with the material and with each other. So through the journal, they're able to check on each other and the leaders can also check on the understanding of the participants. So the participants, while they watch the video and after they watch it, they have guide questions that they can answer. And this is a way for the businesses to make sure that the people are actually learning and not just watching and then maybe forgetting the material. So
Yeah.
for this quarantine, this is the best mode that we have.
Mhm.
We added the value of the journal because then that's when you can engage and check on your people. But
Yes.
definitely, even before quarantine,
Mhm.
there is a value to face-to-face training. But like Michelle had earlier said, that in the service industry, it's really hard to close down a
Mhm.
store just
Mhm.
to have a class for all the people in a
Mhm.
store. So it's really not cost effective. And
Mhm.
that's why we thought of this micro learning series. Even beyond quarantine, we will have more
Yes,
series of this kind.
definitely. Yeah.
Hmm.
Right now is something new for everyone. And I guess we are in a time of iteration and
Hmm.
experimentation, right?
Hmm.
But
Yes.
what matters is how do we respond to this challenging time, and that's
Hmm.
more important. So with the delivery through e-learning, it's really important for these e-learning sessions to be very short,
Yes.
to
Hmm.
allow flexibility. Why? Because work from home, for those who are fortunate enough to be able to do this, the work environment at every person's home varies, right? From person to
Hmm.
person. Do you
Yes.
have children? Do you live with 10 other people? Do you have a dog that's barking, or a rooster, maybe, like, from your neighbor? I mean, these are different contexts, and we need to be mindful about it, that we need to allow flexibility.
Hmm.
Also, remember, we are in the middle of a crisis,
Yes.
and the crisis is a crisis on human life, and we are not. This is not business as usual. Even after the lockdown is lifted, we are not going to be business as usual for a very
Hmm.
long time. So, what's important is we remain flexible. We keep on getting feedback from our teams, and then work our way, keep on improving the process as we go along.
Hmm.
We decided to make the training available via YouTube, Facebook. So, even if you are a team and you're coming up with your own training program during this time,
Yes.
we
Hmm.
recommend that you must make sure that it's accessible, gadget friendly, regardless of the type. And
Hmm.
what matters here is that we still have a shared learning experience, which is very important when you are in the middle of a crisis. Now, with the content, we were mindful that we should meet people who are embracing the training at this time from where they are. What is their
Hmm.
context? So we know that everyone's affected physically, mentally, and emotionally. And now is not the time to actually compare and judge, like, oh, I had it worse compared to you. No, we all are in this together. We all felt and are continue to feel how difficult the lockdown and the crisis on human life is affecting everyone. Um, Safety
Yep.
as a
Hmm.
priority, right, Gabe?
Right.
We
Yeah.
It's something in our episodes. You always harp on the importance of keeping everyone safe.
Yeah. Hmm. And
Rebuilding. Yeah,
yeah,
you were
if I
saying.
can add, Michelle,
Yes, please.
we also designed this reboot not to replace any of the other e-learning that companies are already doing right now during quarantine. Yeah, this is meant to give some structure and act as a guide for all the other training that might be happening. So that's why
Yes.
we have the journal at the end of every
Yeah.
episode. And this allows the
Mhm.
leaders and the managers, supervisors to check that the people are actually
Right.
learning. And they can actually use the same format for their own
Yes.
e-learning resources that they're using
Yes.
because
And
we
that's why we're giving it
really,
for
yeah,
free,
that's right.
right? Like, so, I mean, if you're a training company, if you're a
Hmm.
consultant, you have the option: either use this reboot program or pattern it after,
Hmm.
whatever would help, whatever would
Right.
work best
Hmm.
for your teams and for the business associates that you have.
Yes.
The engagement journal there's a link after every episode.
Hmm.
We ask the frontliner there if they have questions or comments that they would like to share with their employers, and if they opted in for that, we're requesting the email address so we can forward all these information. SatisFIND is a big believer in feedback. That's been our whole mission for the past 15 years. And I guess moving forward, we'll still be committed to even gathering more feedback, right? So,
Right.
well, I just mentioned here also the different, the course coverage would really be rebuilding our concept of trust again.
Yes.
Mindset is something that we started this week.
Yeah.
Self-leadership is something that will start for season 2, which we don't want to preempt it. But what do you mean by self-leadership, Gabe?
So, well, of course, we can't gather people together. So the learning process now will really be up to the participant and up to the frontliner to do on their own. Of course, the Reboot program could be assigned by their leaders, but they have to do the program on their own. We've made that easy by making it microlearning. So microlearning is normally 5 to 15 minutes. We've tried to stay within 10 minutes for every episode as much as we can, just so that it's easy to get into the program without having to watch a 30 or a 30-minute 1 hour video, which is really too long given the crisis. So it's really meant to be micro learning, and several studies from a year and 2 years ago have shown that micro learning actually has more retention. You get 30 to 40% more retention because of the small chunks of information rather than the overload that you might get from an 8-hour program or 1 hour program even. So that's why the content, while we have designed it to be comprehensive, we wanted to make it short and still effective. So, we've really tried to put just the important parts, and it's really meant to get a conversation started, especially between the frontline and their companies. We like to think that we start the conversation and that the businesses can continue this engagement on their own in their own town hall sessions. So not just a forum for upskilling. What we wanted Reboot to be was a guide for companies also to show their people that they care about them during this time, and that this Reboot program is their way of showing their concern. Because we do include, like, the first lessons really are about, keeping everyone safe, making sure that you connect with everyone online or in real life. So it's meant to start conversation and communication between the frontline and their companies.
Right. So self-leadership is also about not just having one leader in a team, but having a team of many leaders, which is our best chance at actually recovering the business faster. So we believe also that the Reboot program could somehow help frontliners become every business owner's best resource and best partner in recovering the business. So as we go... as we go along, we'll be sharing very practical applications of what's important in service, right? For retail, hospitality, travel, and F&B businesses. And most importantly, customer service skills that rebuild relationships, not only in the workplace, but most importantly with customers. Because when we open our doors to customers again, it's a different world. Right, our customers before COVID-19, post-lockdown would be different in mindset as well.
Right.
So, okay, let's move on to the next question. How often should we train our employees?
So before the crisis, the practice in most industries really, it was that training time was such a luxury. You couldn't get time out of people because they were busy in operations or running their businesses. So it was such a luxury that some companies would probably allot 8 hours a year. The best case you'd see was maybe a week worth of learning. But now that we are under lockdown and everybody's supposed to stay at home, this is actually the best time to engage your people, your frontline, with e-learning resources. There's a lot of time right now. Of course, we understand that we want people to survive first and take care of everyone at home. And then when they have some of that downtime, they can go through the program and other e-learning resources. So during this lockdown, it would actually help to do daily micro learning sessions, really just a few minutes a day, so that it's not
Mm-hmm.
not such a burden on the learners, but still have that engagement with their teams. Even we do suggest that weekly engagement, weekly town hall,
Right.
and we do this recap of the episodes could also help with the town hall sessions that companies could run for their employees.
Right.
So daily short bursts of learning will actually be
Yeah.
effective during this lockdown.
And our focus here is regardless of the frequency, right,
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
how you decide to go about the learning now. What we would like you to think about is focus on execution and
Mhm.
consistency,
Yes.
right? So execution, it's really like what is the most effective for your team. So like what I mentioned earlier, is it accessible? Is it flexible?
Mhm.
Is it giving a shared learning experience? Focus on those three things for execution. And for consistency is that if you intend to give them the content, the training every day or every week, stay
Mhm.
consistent, right? So with that, we don't create more confusion and more
Mhm.
doubt within the organization. The whole point of using upskilling to engage people is to build trust,
Mhm.
and we build trust in relationships when things are consistent, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if we commit to having a recorded message from the owner, the CEO, or the leader, and it's on a weekly basis, stick with it. If
Mhm.
it's every
Right.
Monday, if it's every Friday, make sure that they get it on their WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger in any way they can. That message from the leader. That's
Mhm.
very important during this time.
Right.
Okay. And then next question. How do we prepare for post-lockdown reopening? So I
Mhm.
think that the whole industry is gearing up for this. We
Yes.
know that slowly more establishments will open, starting with the essentials first, and then moving on to the non-essentials. But there's just going to be so many changes, and what
Mhm.
we recommend is first you think about the employee experience first, right?
Mhm.
There's
Right.
a simple formula. It's really safety plus support from the head office, from the
Right.
management, from the owners equals trust.
Mhm.
So the whole point where we are now is, there's a lot of trust issues happening out there, right? Which
Yes.
are
Mhm.
getting in the way of human connections, of relationships. So
Mhm.
we need to rebuild that again, and it's through establishing that your workplace, whether offline or online, it gives you psychological safety.
Mhm.
So what
Right.
we would recommend is first start with regular communications.
Mhm.
Skilling training is the best way. This will give them confidence in
Mhm.
the leadership even more, that our leadership would like to keep us safe. Second, upskilling gives them the confidence to start serving customers again. Um, and they would be the best partner for business recovery. When good businesses get to stay in business, people get to keep their jobs. I think that thought itself is so simple, and yet it has so much impact in everyone's
Mhm.
lives, because every business cares about their people, cares about their customers. But we are in a crisis together.
Yeah.
How do we keep
Mhm.
our people keep their livelihoods? The only way is if we still have customers coming into our doors. How do we actually take care of our customers? We talk about that in the next stage, right? Now,
Yes.
operational and HR protocols will give them psychological safety when they go back to work. How are
Mhm.
we sanitizing our stores? What are we provided face masks, gloves, those things. Of course, every government will have guidelines, but we
Mhm.
need to be mindful also on what standards we'd like to put in place in every organization. Anything to add there, Gabe, before we go to
Yeah.
customer? All right, this is
So,
customer experience. Yeah, there's a
right.
typo
So
there.
definitely because of the quarantine and the crisis, this
Yeah.
already caused a lot of doubt and
Mm-hmm.
fears in both the front line at home and
Mm-hmm.
at the workplace. They weren't sure if the businesses would be able to reopen. So
Yes.
that's why we designed this reboot program. Really is to help businesses assure their people that
Mm-hmm.
yes, we are on lockdown, but we still think about you. We're still here to support you.
Yes.
We think that your safety is important. And while you're staying at home, we want you to have this program to practice. Definitely, our frontline people have customer service skills, But of course, these skills are best learned on the job. So in the meantime, while we're in lockdown, they can still refresh, they can still have a better mindset that prepares them for reopening, so that when we get to the point where we can reopen the businesses, they're prepared for that mindset, that
Right.
it's going to be a different reality. And
A
for
different
service
world. Yeah.
industries, yes, a
Different
different world.
world.
And for all service industries, it's going to be a challenge to stay in business. So
Right.
it goes to that point that customers are going to expect better
Mhm.
service this time. Of course, the safety and the
Definitely.
cleanliness
Yes.
of the
So
office, of
coming
the
from
work.
what you said, there's just a typo here. It's customer experience. Customer experience touch
Yeah.
points would have to be reviewed again. And
Yes.
of course, still customer service is important, but now there's a very important layer of safety that has to come with every touch point that you have in your entire customer experience journey, right? So at the end of the day, what you want to rebuild with your customers is that level of trust again. So trust within your employees and trust with your customers would actually be the path for business recovery. Okay. So that's our recap for episodes 1, 2, 3. On Monday, we are going to be releasing our video for episode 4, which is a very interesting topic centered on empathy, right? So as we know in the service industry, this is a word that's like overused, right? It's like the one of the buzzwords in service. It's empathy, but we're going to break it down simply, and how do we apply it, practice it, right? So that we can prepare our frontliners for the day that we open the doors to customers again. The intention of Reboot with SatisFIND is really to prepare everyone to serve again.
And the way we designed it too is that all the skills that we mentioned, the participants, the frontline can practice it at home and with their colleagues while they're on online connections, so that this prepares them for going into the stores, and they've already practiced all the topics that we mentioned, especially empathy. And then now they can do it with the customers, who will expect a better level of service once we reopen.
Yeah, that is the intention. That is the aim. So first to survive, serve again, and then moving on to serve better. Okay, so we'll see you on Monday, and please keep sending your questions. We'd love to hear from you. Any feedback, of course. We care about your feedback. So thank you so much. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you, Michelle.
And check our Facebook page for more updates and to view the episode. So we're available we'll be on YouTube, on Facebook, and also on our website. Thank you so much, everyone.
See
Stay
you
safe.
guys.